Good evening, campers, streamers, and babysitters, and welcome to our review of Scream 6.
Guys,
Alrighty, Luke. Well, the day is upon us. We finally got to check out Scream 6. And yeah, if you guys have been keeping up with the channel, you know we've been looking forward to this. We covered the original, which I can easily say I think is an all-time classic in our books. We absolutely adore it. And we decided instead of covering 2, 3, and 4, save those for a later date, we would cover Scream 5 because we had a lot of opinions on that film. You know, it's the first one coming back in a long time. We were definitely excited for it, but needless to say, we had some gripes, and we got to air those all out with Evan from Rockland Graves, which was a lot of fun. But that brings us to today. Out of the theater, we saw Scream 6. Luke, how you feeling about it?
I would say I'm a little more mixed on this one overall. I think throughout they had some good ideas again, and then they really struggled with the execution of that third act, I think. But as we talked Scream 5 with Evan, it was just like, throughout that film, I was losing faith consistently throughout. In this one, it stayed at a pretty good plane up until that third act, I think. So this one, I can't be as harsh as I was on 5. I still have issues with this one, but I think I was a little coming out of the theater. I was a little more pleased with this one than I was originally with 5.
And I can agree with that. For the most part, I was definitely more pleased with the direction we were going. I enjoyed the intensity of the film. I liked the setup even. I think that, this one being the longest of the Scream movies so far, I enjoyed that. I felt like we got a little bit more time with the Carpenter sisters and the survivors of the last film. And I liked all that buildup. I thought that was all a lot of fun. Again, I agree with you. This does really fall flat for me in that third act. Like, were there a couple of moments that I thought were a little and laughable as the film was going on? Of course. But, ultimately, I'm one of those people that I think my overall first time sitting down, my enjoyment and what I kind of will project onto a Scream film comes down to the reveal, which I will not go into details, of course. Obviously, I want you guys to go in and, experience this movie, but I will just let you guys know, just like with 5, this reveal really let me down. That's got to be my first really big strike I can give this movie. I just think that overall it's for something, and I know every movie has to market itself to a broad audience, and they always say they're doing something different, but I really genuinely felt like with us changing the setting and, the kind of approach they were taking with bringing back all the old masks and everything, I really thought we were going to get something creative and different, and we didn't get that. So that is my biggest gripe, I would say, at this film. The thing that made me walk out and say, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, well, and I think 6 here solidifies that what they're doing with this trilogy is not breaking the mold. I think going into 5, we were like, oh, well, we expect a lot of different twists and turns, and we didn't get that. And then kind of going into the very basic equation that Scream has always stuck to, and they aren't going to step outside of that box. I mean, maybe, for me, 7's null and void in terms of that. Maybe that's when they decide to get going with it, but I'm not going to have any hopes of that anymore. One of the things that I will say that is a positive of this film, and they play with it again in 5, where they're like, it feels different. And I think they did a good job here of making Ghostface feel a little different. I felt like he was more of a threat, almost a supernatural threat. And we're not really spoiling anything, but when we kind of go into that realm of supernatural and things that could be going full circle into the Scream realm, it may, for at least a brief second, get your hopes up of, what an unveiling could look like toward the end of the film. And I think maybe that kind of heightens hopes. I know it did mine, of thinking, The as much of a threat Ghostface comes off in this, you have your mind starts racing of who the unveiling is going to be. So I think it's almost a disappointment. But again, it seems like they're really, really trying to draw that connective tissue in terms of that third act, in terms of who the killer is here.
Yeah, and I agree with you so much on that. That Ghostface was great in this. Like the attacks were really intense. They were fun. They really did, I think, make a good use of the New York setting. I felt that palpable intensity when they would get into crowds of people, and you're just in the city, and you're just like, anybody, literally anybody could pop out and attack me right now. And that's what it is. And they do a great job with that. And, a positive that I got to give this movie, that I had a hard time with 5, is that they actually made me really enjoy our core characters. That kind of
Core
carry
four.
over from 5. Yeah. I didn't know if I wanted to say it right out, but yeah, they do call themselves the core 4 in the film, and I enjoyed them. I did enjoy the Carpenter sisters in the last film, but I think that the more that we've spent time with them, the more I've enjoyed them. There's kind of a tropey sequence that you expect in a Scream film, and I thought that it was actually pretty well done. I think you and I differed on that. We'll probably have to talk
Yes.
more about it in our spoiler review, but it is one of those things where I was like, okay, I like it. They're poking some fun at themselves. They're, really, I think, guiding us into something that hopefully is going to pay off. But ultimately, yeah, it didn't for me. And again, I think that's going to really hinder my viewing each time I see this movie, because again, I really liked what we had all the way up until the third act. I really did. I liked where it was going, the mystery it was building. For the first time in a while, I genuinely was like, I don't know who's going to be the killer.
Yeah.
I, like you, I had my thoughts, I had my suspicions, but they were doing a good job of really keeping it going. As to where 5, it just kind of got down to, well, it kind of has to be them.
Yeah.
And then, each one of the Scream sequels, as you kind of go along, to an extent, you do kind of connect the dots right before it reveals. Um, it's just with the reveal here again, it's without being too spoilery, it feels very samey to some of
Yeah.
the other films that we've seen before. It feels very safe, and I don't think this movie needed to be safe. I don't think that this movie really earned the safe ending. I think that it pushed itself in a lot of ways to kind of, pull itself apart from what we would expect. And ultimately, I think they just whimpered out at the end. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, ultimately, I want to sit here and say that I enjoyed this movie as a whole, but I know that that ending is just going to creep in every time I think about throwing this movie on, or every time I am watching it. And this is my first viewing, so I will be watching this again and again probably when it comes out. But ultimately, yeah, I think that I expected more from it, especially sitting down in the theater and getting the intensity with Ghostface, the intensity of the setting, enjoying the characters more, and just overall, I think really having that kind of fun, thrilling Scream experience that I was hoping for. It really felt like it was paying everything off. So yeah, I mean, I'm a little torn about it.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you with the third act and the unveiling. Opening up, that motive from 5, I think it really does kind of open this up to such a almost a different, like a toy box here, where it's like, wait, eh, we're not spoiling anything, and this isn't a spoiler, but it's like, hey, wait, it was the Uber driver that dropped me off here. Was that guy who did this? Where it's like, wait, we're trying to just draw so much connective tissue here, which doesn't really exist unless you force it in there, and it does feel a
Hmm.
little forced to kind of do that unveiling for the audience to be like, oh, is this person or is that person? And but it falls flat. It doesn't really have that impact that we were looking for, especially with a Scream unveiling. Um, and again, that's my biggest gripe with this film. But overall, there was a lot of brutality in this film where it's like looking back, I keep comparing it to 5, but it's like 5, I did not have a great recollection of until I went back and revisited it, especially a lot of the kills. Whereas this one, I think a lot of the stuff that they use in this film is going to stick with me in terms of like
I
when
agree.
I'm thinking of most effective kills of the year or anything like that. I think, and the intensity of a lot of these close up shots of the knife and everything like that, you really do feel that. So it really this is the longest film of the franchise, but it really keeps going. So it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't linger on anything. We had seen the subway shots in the teaser, and seeing it in full length on screen. I think that was really well done, especially
Yeah.
building that intensity and that anticipation. One of the things I really want to bring up here is you talked about making use of the setting where you really feel that setting is the opening to this, and
Oh
there's
yeah.
a lot of great cold opens within the Scream franchise. I think this is right up there with them because they do a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of different stuff here. They cover a lot of ground, gets you asking a billion different questions, and it's think you they start making you think one thing, and then instantly, a few minutes later, they take that away from you, and you're thinking something else. So, and that really, again, makes use of that New York setting. So as soon as that cold opens over with, and we do the classic slash with the scream on camera. And we're back into New York. I mean, we're just off and running here. So I think this film really does get moving. Again, they had a lot of great ideas. I think they capitalized on some of those great ideas more effectively than they did on 5 here. But again, with that third act, it's a constant struggle to really knock that one out of the park. They haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I really think that's where their writing struggles. Just from, because it's the same, I believe it's one of the same writers from the last one. I don't know if the other gentleman's name that was there was attached to the last one. I have to check. And obviously, we have some returning directors. But yeah, I really think that, and it's no secret, we are, kind of Scream fans. So, if you're going to do that connective tissue, we'd like it to mean something a little bit more than kind of what we've been getting. And, I think overall, they have a good handle on the actual like adventure of the film. It's just when they get to these destinations, they always just seem to drop the ball. And with that said, is this the worst movie of the franchise? Absolutely not. I think that I can sit back and watch this again, and have that fun. But I will always, again, just sit there and once that ending hits, I'm just gonna say, well, okay, that's it. At least until we hopefully get another film and we see what they do with that one. Because again, we're kind of continuing the Carpenter sisters story here.
Yeah.
And yeah, really, again, I gave it to the actors. They had kind of an uphill battle with me, because they struggled for me. I think everybody but the two leads in the last film really struggled to kind of gain my interest and my trust. But I think that they really landed there. Um, there are a couple of things in this that I will say as other criticisms that are a bit of a stretch for me, and feel again samey, very much ground we've tread before, and yeah, I think that that's just an overall disappointment for 2 acts of something that feels unique and fresh and cool, and very much what I was looking forward to. So
Yeah, I
I
mean, again, they set the table for something new, and I don't think we got it. They serve the same thing that we've been getting, for the past, a little bit here. So, like looking at it, like you said, I was happy with the character work here. I still struggle with the character of Mindy. I think she's just so close to the Randy Meeks character that they don't really give her too much, and I'm just like, oh, it's just a repackage into 2023 of Randy Meeks. The Chad character, I love where they're going with him. Uh, you know, I'm more annoyed with him in 5. He's kind of come full circle, I think, and you start really feeling with him. There are a few moments in here where you really want to see that character succeed and that he's really out there for his friends. And then, leading into something where I think is probably a more so minus. Well, it is a minus for the film itself. Is they tend to pull back. They pull some of their punches, and I'm not going to get into spoilers or anything like that, but you know, um, it seems like they were a little hesitant to do certain things in this one, and it really does come off by the ending of the film. So overall, I think it's a fun ride, but by the end of it, I think you're ready to get out of the car and take a nap.
absolutely. So I'm gonna say this is still worth checking out in theaters. I don't think it's going to completely knock your socks off, but I think it is gonna be a lot of fun. Um, you know, overall, we're going to be able to get into this a little deeper, as we said, with our spoiler review, which we are going to be posting on Monday, giving everybody the weekend to see this. So definitely, if you are eager to check it out, still definitely go check it out. It is a lot of fun, like we said. There's just a couple of things that we're going to air out on Monday with our friend Evan from Rockland Graves Productions. So definitely go check out his channel. He should have a review up sometime this weekend for the film as well. And yeah, man, I'm very eager to see if that seventh film is going to get greenlit. I assume it will. I think this is going to crush at the box office this weekend. But I am curious to see again a year out how people are going to feel about this one. Because I think it took a little bit of time for more people to flip on 5. I think everybody was excited to see the series return, but then we kind of got a little bit more realistic about what we had, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen with this one. So,
And just to bring it up one more time here, I know we've talked about it to an extent in 5. Again, this is pretty evident looking at this film here that there was so much more mileage out of the Dewey character, and you could have really did something fun in 6.
I agree, but we're going to have plenty of time to talk about that again. Keep an eye out for our Scream 6 spoiler video coming soon. Other than that, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We are definitely out here. We just crossed the 700 subscriber mark today, so thank you so much, guys. We couldn't believe that we have gotten this far, and we can't wait to go further. But yeah, other than that, we got a lot of great content up on the channel. We've got our Scream 2022 or Scream 5 Cream, whatever you want to call it, review up now, as well as the original Scream. And of course, a bunch of other great videos down there below for you guys to check out and enjoy. But alrighty, I think that's going to wrap us up here. So we'll be talking Scream 6 again here shortly. But until then, I am Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.